Hey everyone, and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video, we will be talking about the 2024 potential presidential Republican candidates. We will be ranking them from S to A to B to C to D to F. These are just Republicans. I will do a Democrat list later, and anyway, let's get right into it. I'll just go through the candidates. There's I think one I have no idea, which is the second guy. Let me know if you guys know who this is. Maybe it's because they're not showing the rest of his head. I have no idea who that is. Maybe Spencer Cox, but I really doubt it. First we have Steve Bannon, who is now a podcaster, but he was a strong Trump ally in the administration, but he is way out there. Okay, he is criticized by both sides. I mean, even a lot of Trump supporters will not really be fond of Steve Bannon because of how extreme he is. I don't think I need to go into that one too much. Steve Bannon is an F. Candace Owens is an F also. She would lose all swing states. I mean, if we're being honest, the only swing state that she's winning is Florida. I think that North Carolina would go to Biden if she is the nominee. Georgia. If we're talking Georgia, definitely Biden. And the Rust Belt, she has absolutely zero Rust Belt appeal. Traditional conservatives in Arizona aren't voting for. Biden would win in a landslide against her. She would do extremely poorly. Charlie Baker would be a good candidate. He's a B tier candidate, or a better candidate, as I should say. He will do very well among those traditional conservatives. He's the governor of Massachusetts who's coming out of office this year. He decided not to run for another term, even though he is the second most popular governor in America behind Phil Scott, but he decided not to run again. But he would really unite the Republican Party. A lot of people who are saying, you know what, Trump cost us the midterms, would be voting for Charlie Baker, these former Trump supporters would be definitely casting their ballot for Charlie Baker. He would be able to turn out Republicans in good numbers. But what's going to hurt him is the Rust Belt, and that's why he's not higher. He won't connect with those white working class voters as Trump was able to. All right, now we have Condi Rice, who isn't really in the question of running again. She would be all right, though. She would probably lose to Biden, if we're being honest, but she isn't as radical as some of these other Republicans like Steve Bannon or Candace Owens. She previously served in the Bush administration, W's administration. I don't, obviously she's not running, not sure why she's on here, but I think she would be okay with, she would really unite the Republican Party more than Baker, and some independents might vote for her. Now we have Dan Crenshaw. I'm going to put her with Condi. I think that I'm going to put her below Condi because he is a bit more extreme. He won't really be able to connect with a lot of independent voters. I don't think he would be that successful in a presidential election with winning over independent voters, which is necessary for the presidency. Now we have Dan. Let me look it up. He is the lieutenant. Dan Patrick. I just remembered. I didn't even have to look it up. Dan Patrick is the lieutenant governor of Texas. And no one wants him to run in 2024, but for some reason at a press conference he said he wouldn't run. Literally nobody knows who you are and nobody wants you to run. He would be poor. I'm going to put him at D. I don't know why he would ever want to run. All right, this is Eric Trump. No, this is Don Jr. Don Jr. would be an F tier candidate. Would have, after the midterms, no one is voting for Trump. Well, I shouldn't say that. He still has a cult-like following. But, a lot of these Republicans who are Trump cost us the midterms, they're not voting for another Trump. It doesn't matter the Trump. They're not voting for the other Trump. Matt Gaetz is F tier. Major scandal surrounding his name. He would do extremely poorly, especially among women. Greg Abbott, I'm unsure. Because I could feel that I do feel that he could somewhat unite the Republican base. if I'm being honest. But I don't think there's much going for him, and he's definitely not running. I think he deserves D tier. Nikki Haley is the former ambassador to what, the UN, in the Trump administration. One of the few Republicans who left the administration with good ties to Donald Trump. I mean, John Bolton left the administration. Horrible connection with Trump. Horrible feelings between them. I think that Nikki Haley would do kind of good. I'm going to put her with Charlie Baker. I think that she would be an all-right candidate. What more can I say? I mean, she would turn out women. And if we're talking states like Nevada, Arizona, Sunbelt states, Florida, she's easily carrying them. North Carolina, Georgia is in play, definitely. She would have kind of a hard time in the West Belt. I think that Biden would connect with those voters a bit more. But definitely, Pennsylvania is in play, and I think that she could win. I'm considering putting her in B. Yeah, I will, because she will really unite the Republican Party more than any other of Baker, Rice, these candidates. All right, Larry Hogan is an A-tier candidate. So he is very similar to Charlie Baker, very similar to Phil Scott, very similar to Chris Sununu. Not Chris Sununu, never mind. But he is a Republican governor who is insanely popular in a heavily Democratic state. There's 3 of those governors, Hogan, Scott, Baker. 2 are leaving office this year, Hogan and Baker. But he is a tad more conservative than Charlie Baker, and he's just as popular as Charlie Baker. I think that he would be able to win more Republicans, more extreme Republicans in a presidential election who are like, well, I'm obviously not voting for Biden, but I don't know if I should vote for Larry Hogan, because Larry Hogan is a never Trumper. But they will say, you know what, we have to unite behind the Republican. I think that they will more so do that for Hogan rather than Baker, as Hogan is more conservative than Baker. Going to Ivanka Trump, she would be a better candidate than Don Jr., but because she is more like formal, she served in the Trump administration, but not going anywhere with her campaign. That's D tier. Josh Hawley, F tier candidate. He is too extreme. I mean, he voted against the Stop Asian Hate bill. I mean, who does that? Only one or two senators to vote against that. He is an F tier candidate. Wouldn't do well really anywhere. Mike Pence is a solid candidate. I'll give him a solid D. He's right with Charlie Baker. Obviously, you guys know. Left Trump, both mad at each other. They said hang Mike Pence, but I think that he would really be able to win all Republican votes, if I'm being honest. Obviously, the extreme far right neo-Nazi Trump supporters, the few that are so insanely out there, are going to refuse to vote for Mike Pence. But the vast majority of Republicans would, if I'm being honest. We're talking more than Baker here, a lot more than Baker. And I think that he would fare well with independents. Remember, Biden is still very unpopular among independents. We have to remember that fact. A lot of those voters, I believe, would vote for Mike Pence. He would easily win states like Arizona, North Carolina. I think that Wisconsin. I think that he would be able to carry Nevada. Pennsylvania very much in play. And we'd really have to look at the numbers there. Kristi Noem, probably a D tier candidate, if not F. She's very extreme. The governor of South Dakota. I don't think I need to talk about this one too much, but she is way out there. I would put her in F, honestly. She's not going to connect with any voters. Lindsey Graham is an F tier candidate. I mean, who is voting for Lindsey Graham? Marco Rubio, senator from the state of Florida. He is a pretty good candidate, okay? If we're looking at it, he is. Geez. I'm going to put him D because, honestly, he's not winning Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania. He would fare well in the entire, southern half of the United States. I think that he'd be able to turn out voters. He would connect with Hispanic voters very much. A lot of Hispanic voters are already, registering Republican in high numbers, but Rubio would really turn them out, even, registered independent or Democrat Hispanic voters. Easily winning Arizona, Florida obviously won by like 18% this year, like 17% this year. He would easily win Nevada. Any state with high Hispanic population. New Mexico would be very close. Colorado would be, never mind, scratch that. North Carolina would be in his hands easily. Georgia would be very, very close. He could definitely pull out a win. And then the Rust Belt. That is why he is not higher. He would be in S, maybe A tier, or an A, maybe S tier candidate if the Rust Belt didn't exist. But the Blue Wall does. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, he would lose all three. That's why he's in B. He probably wouldn't win the election. Mike Lindell, obviously F tier. I don't need to talk about that one at all, I hope. Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State in the Trump administration. In the Trump administration, where does he go? I'm going to put him at D. He is slightly better than, these are just the extremists down here. Bannon, Owens, Trump, Gates, Hawley, Noem, Graham, Lindell. Mike Pompeo isn't as extreme as them, but at the end of the day, he's not doing well at all. These candidates, this guy just cannot win. It's not plausible at this point. Paul Ryan would be okay because he's from Wisconsin. That is why he would be an A tier candidate. He is from Wisconsin, and he would easily win his home state. And then Pennsylvania would go to him, and Michigan would probably go to him, but be extremely, extremely close. He's an A tier candidate. Those voters, all Republicans would turn out for him. He would be a unity candidate because he's not like he is basically a never Trumper, but people like Larry Hogan or Charlie Baker, that's all they're going to be talking about in their campaign, like Liz Cheney did. That's all they're going to be talking about. That's not what Paul Ryan is going to be talking about all his campaign. He's going to be talking about a lot of issues. He'll be a, conservative, and I think that he would be an exceptional candidate. Then we have Rand Paul. Paul Ryan to Rand Paul. D because he is an extremist, but in a libertarian way, which is going to be more popular than an authoritarian way, like Steve Bannon is, or like Matt Gaetz is, or like Mike Lindell is. They're all authoritarians. People are much more open to libertarianism than they are to authoritarianism. And that is why I don't think that Rand Paul would quite be in D, but he's not going to be a very good candidate. Mitt Romney is going to be with Condi Rice. He's not going to be that well of a candidate, but the bottom tiers are going to be all extremists. Not friendly to voting for them. But at least independents will be somewhat open to voting for Mitt Romney. But it will be very hard for him to unite the Republican base. Romney doesn't do it. DeSantis is S tier. He is the perfect candidate for Republicans in 2024. He's the governor of Florida. You all know him. What do I say about DeSantis? He would be the ultimate Republican unity candidate. He would win all those extreme Trump supporters. He would win the former Trump supporters who now say, I'm not supporting him since he cost us the midterms. I want DeSantis to run in 2024. That's what they're saying. And then he's going to win the never Trumpers. Let's be honest. He will. They are all voting for him over Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg or someone else in 2024. He would be, and with Democrats not that encouraged to vote, with, first of all, not Trump as the nominee if DeSantis, if we're talking the DeSantis scenario. And two, because Biden isn't as accepted and popular as he was in 2020. That is why DeSantis is an S tier candidate. Ben Sasse is a senator from Nebraska. He's a moderate, or he's a traditional conservative. but he won't do that well. He's with Romney and Rice, C tier. Rick Scott is senator from Florida. He would not do well. I mean, if we're thinking Biden versus Scott, he's going to have a very hard time in a lot of swing states. And Biden would be favored a lot overall. He's probably a D tier candidate. Scott Walker is a good candidate because he's from Wisconsin. So he would do well in the Rust Belt. But him becoming the nominee would be hard. He's the former governor of Wisconsin. His political journey has kind of ended. I don't know why they have him on this list. Actually, fun fact, it's by Red Eagle. Stupid person. Anyway. Scott Walker is B tier. Ted Cruz, question for a lot of these guys like Rand Paul, Mike Pompeo, Rick Scott, D or F? I mean, which one? But essentially, Ted Cruz is doing better than Mike Lindell. Ted Cruz, D tier. Tim Scott will do all right. I'll just say he's African American. A lot of people are going to think of him as more moderate as others because of his race, but he's not doing that well anyway. I'm going to move him down to D tier. I don't see anything happening with him. Tom Cotton wouldn't do that well. He's a senator from Arkansas. He's going to do better than Rick Scott, other senators that he votes with. Rick Scott, Rand Paul, Tim Scott. But do I see him winning? No, because he doesn't have that connection with independent voters. He doesn't have that electability factor in the blue wall. I don't see it happening. Donald Trump. Where to place old Donald? So let's compare it to the other candidates. Would he do as well as Marco Rubio, Mike Pence, Charlie Baker, Scott Walker? No. Would he do as good as Romney, Sass, Cotton? Yes, he goes in C tier. It's not like he's a horrible candidate. We have to remember that Trump still has a cult-like following, okay? People will still vote for him in the Republican primary. It will be very competitive, but Donald Trump is more than likely going to win the Republican primary against anyone, and yes, I mean anyone, in 2024, that including Ron DeSantis. So I think he would do just as good in general as Rice, Rubio, Scott, Cotton, I don't think he would do exceptional, but he's going to do better than Ted Cruz, all these other guys. Then we have Eric Trump, F tier, Tucker Carlson, F tier, Will Hurd, fine candidate, B tier. He is more of a moderate than unknown man. Who is that? Is that like Putin or no? Oh God, I feel dumb saying that. Now that's going to be on YouTube forever, me questioning if that's Putin. Alright, anyway, thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. It was really fun to make. I love the tier list videos. And please comment a video idea down below. That is your duty for today, is to comment a video that you would like to see below, because I need suggestions. You guys don't realize that I would love to hear your suggestions. Go on my community tab to find my Patreon. Please donate to me. And thanks. I will see you all next time.